Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another LOR video today. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the differences between contextual success and wide stream success in a player versus player setting. So it's entirely possible that you can build an off-meta deck in LOR that performs exceptionally well under very specific circumstances and does very poorly in a broader context. So I'll give you an example. Myself being a top 100 player, I lose to off-meta decks all the time, simply because I don't understand what their construction is, I don't understand what their win cons are, I don't understand what they're doing or what they're going for. So by extension, there is a form of logic that would indicate that that deck is somehow superior to all other decks if it can beat a top-level player. Or another, contextual metric is that perhaps your deck, your off-meta deck, beats one of the top decks, and then by extension is considered to be one of the strongest decks in the game. Both of those things are logical fallacies. They operate under similar principles, and they're both, generally speaking, misinformed. So I'll give you an example. This is a deck that I build with Blood-Cursed Harpy using Vayne and Ornn, and I was able to beat sort of an Eddy, the meta Eddy card pile that we talk about a lot on this channel. And so, but I've never really given any allusions to the fact that this deck is somehow better than the meta Eddy card piles, just that I have found limited success with it in a limited context. And then I, bolster that claim by saying that yes, I am a top 100 PvP player, so there should be some, gravitas to what it is that I'm saying. That being said, there are tons of off-meta brews in Eternal that people will come up with in a casual setting that they build specifically just for me, to essentially use me as a yardstick for the competitive nature of their own builds and brews. This is really a dumb thing to do. And the reason why that's the case is because a lot of decks that you might potentially run into in a ladder setting, I simply don't play. A good example is Meta Temple. Meta Temple is an exceptionally powerful control deck and combo deck that you'll run into in ladder a ton, and I just simply don't pilot. So if you use me as that yardstick, you'll never really know how powerful your deck is in any broader context, because I'm not playing a lot of these meta decks that you'd be running into normally. You might not know how your matchup is into a Zero Relia. I don't play a Zero Relia very often. Meta Jace Lux I'll bring out every now and then. You might not know how your deck does into something with 3 Flocks and 3 Disintegrates. There is a style of deck where maybe you just pound out the largest creatures possible and the most tempo possible, but then all of a sudden your opponent's spending like 3 mana to disintegrate your big 8 mana unit, and your entire deck essentially doesn't function. It doesn't do anything in a broader meta context. So it is very, very important to understand the limitations of any off-meta brew that you're making and not use individual players as a yardstick, but instead use ranked ladder. It's exceptionally important that any sort of deck that you are measuring the success rate of is used essentially from a diamond to masters context that you are climbing with. And if you are able to climb successfully from diamond to masters, and maybe you get lucky and you much like myself and you just instantly break top 100 with your win rate alone, like if you do that successfully, there's a very good chance that your off-meta brew is one of the best decks in the format. However, if you do find that your off-meta brew that you use to yardstick against the top players is all of a sudden falling apart in a ladder setting, that's when you have to reevaluate, right? Because you're now taking the limited context that you've used in a 1v1 setting and you're applying it to a broader context where now you're 1v everyone, and everyone plays different decks and they pilot them differently. So that's Eternal King signing out. Just a short, quick discussion video talking about remember to play PvP ranked. Like it's kind of like a common sense thing, but a lot of people don't play ranked, despite ladder being active right now. But you should. You absolutely should. Any deck that you build that you have found limited success with in a casual setting should be taken online into a ranked setting in that Diamond to Masters ranked bracket, to get proper evaluations for the performance of that deck. If you check out the win rate of a deck prior to Diamond, it's going to be too strong because you can basically pilot anything in plat successfully. It's way too easy. And anything after that, you have that kind of limited context of, you know, top ranked Masters play, where certain variables are going to be more effective than others. So typically I would say climb from Diamond to Masters with your casual off-meta brew that you've played in, in casual setting, and then try it out there. And if you are successful, if you're able to climb successfully, then there might be something worth posting about. Or if you've, like myself, successfully piloted a meta deck to top 100, and then anything that you brew is now all of a sudden of value because you just have that greater insight into the format. Either one is applicable, but try not to use top players as a yardstick. I would say like the same thing about Majin Bey. Like if you were able to, I don't think Majin Bey ever took one-on-ones with people who followed him because it was just like too easy to take a deck that he had built, and in the limited setting of one-on-one, you could counter it. Because any deck can be countered, any deck's counterable, any strategy or playstyle is counterable. The important metric is how successful is your playstyle overall. And if you can, show that in a quantifiable way, then you are a top ranked player. Alright, this is Eternal King signing out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.